is Warriors Anonymous.
All right, Warriors Anonymous, welcome to the podcast. It is an exciting one, weirdly exciting for a bye week episode because there's a little bit to be excited about, I suppose. Jared Crone and Isaac Sauce on hand for this one to just cover off a few pressing issues for today, and also maybe bigger picture stuff as well to see where our Warriors may end up in the future. Isaac, welcome along, man. You've got what, a few weeks until the newbie arrives in the family, so you must be getting a bit nervous.
Yep. I get so nervous. Exciting times, but definitely the nerves are kicking in. Reality is setting in. That life as we know it is over. And the new life begins.
It's gonna go to a whole nother level.
Yep. But just another addition to the Watane clan.
That's it, bro. Yeah, recruit them early. That's the way. Bro, we had an episode last week, and beyond that, there was a lot of talk about the Warriors' biggest ever signing coming on board. So I want to just tap into that a little bit with a hard or nah to start us off, because I want to know if this Warriors, biggest ever signing is true, or if it's a George Michael careless whisper. What are you thinking, bro? Are you thinking true, or are you thinking George?
Big ups to my man George Michael. Rest in peace. It's a careless whisper.
It's a careless whisper.
It's a careless whisper. Cue the saxophone music. Pain is all you'll find. You're never going to dance again.
Oh, man. Yeah, a lot of chat around potential players. Alan Ponga was the one most often mentioned. I actually had a chat to a couple of Newcastle supporters in the SEN office just to get their take on things, to see what they were thinking. One of them wasn't really fussed at all if they lost Kalen. The other one would have been absolutely heartbroken. So I guess, take what you will from that. But yeah, interesting to see a lot of people chatting about, what he would bring to the team. What in your opinion, do you think Kalen would bring to the Warriors side?
Cutting edge, really. But I think we talked about this in the chat. How many fullbacks do we need? You got Yes, you got Tuapiki, you got Nick Hockstar, and then I think I might have mentioned Metcalf may have played fullback. Ryan Martin's definitely played fullback. CHT's definitely played fullback.
So he's dabbled, he has dabbled.
Yeah, we're going to have a backline just full of fullbacks. But, I mean, you'd be crazy to turn down Kalen Ponga, right, if he's offering up his services. Yeah, and he might look really good in a Warriors jersey, and I think it's the greater goal maybe of being able to play for the Kiwis. Just like Payne Haas is the rumour mill with him potentially jumping ship to play for the Philippines. Or for some Filipino Voltron. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's why they signed Dylan Brown as well, Newcastle, because they had a feeling that Kalen is on the way out. He kind of marches to the beat of his own drum as well, Kalen. He kind of does what Kalen wants.
He does.
Which I kind of like.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple of those TikTok videos of him will definitely attest to that fact that he does whatever he likes. Anyways, bro, I did a little bit of quick mathematics, not necessarily my strong suit. Feel free to correct me if you can. Obviously, the Warriors' official salary cap auditor, Daniel Wharakura, isn't here this week to keep an eye on things. But to my way of thinking, we had Tohu leave, 800K. Dylan Walker, I think he's about 650. Sean retired, 500K. Montoya, I'm not really too sure. I kind of gave him about 300K. Could be a bit, I don't know. Adam Fanor Blake left. He was on $1 million. Jazz, he was probably about similar to Montoya, maybe about 300K. I reckon that's about maybe $3.5 million worth of salary cap space, which in terms of, looking at an 11.8 million team salary cap, that's a lot. That's heaps. Not that I'm one to go and spend crazily just for the sake of it. What is your thoughts on how best to use some coin like that?
Ooh, with its current squad, I would probably be looking at... I think our forward pack's pretty well covered. That's actually a really tough one. I'm not quite sure where you would put the dollars and cents in to sort of improve this team. Probably a gun half, but if the eye for the future is Metcalf and your CHT, are they your ride or die, or do you throw the money at a top tier half? And then the other question is, does anyone actually want to come across the ditch and base themselves over here to do that?
And would they stay?
Would they stay? Compassionate grounds, as per usual. Seems to be the running theme with the Warriors over the past few years. But I'm not quite sure. If you're going to spend big bucks, which position you'd want to fill maybe a second rower if you're going to have a gun second rower. But the second row position is not really as coveted as it used to be. I feel maybe the lock position, but I can't think of any sort of top tier player at that lock position that you'd arguably want to throw in the Warriors or that would leave.
I mean, we will also likely have a few guys who will need to graduate somewhat as their performances improve and they find their feet. You know, guys like a Metcalf and Leka Halasima, these guys are going to start fetching a bit more as they progress. Ali. So there's always that to have in the back of the mind. Let's do a quick pop quiz, I guess. If you were able to reach agreement with Daly Cherry Evans, would you do it? Ooh, okay.
No, I know he's been doing it for a long time, but I would prefer to give the young fellas that we've got in our squad, I wouldn't want them looking over their shoulder. It's not like the NFL where they'd learn a lot from a guy like DCE, but would they want to bide their time, knowing it could be like a 1 or 2 year deal, and then their best footies, passing them by perhaps? I don't want to lose them for the sake of DCE for 2 years. I don't feel like that's worth it. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the squad that we've got right now. I honestly am. I feel like there's ways to go, but there's the right talent pool in our squad. So now, long story short,
with Chance turning down an extension, are you thinking, or would you be liking to move forward with Tane as the long-term fullback?
Is that set in stone? Sorry, I haven't.
Well, I don't know if it is set in stone as such, but it all could change around depending on what gets done or doesn't get done. But yeah, what's your thinking on that fullback spot?
Yeah, I'd go forward with Tang. Yeah, I feel like he's kind of the prototype for fullbacks now that you're starting to see emerge. It's a copycat league, and he sort of fits the bill of your Keanu Kinneys and your Reece Walshes, the new age of fullback. And yeah, he's deserved it. Every time he puts on the Warriors jersey, he gives it 110%, and he plays well. So I think he deserves to have a chance in that fullback position if Nickel Clockster leaves.
Just thinking about that, the new blueprint for fullbacks, it's interesting that the game has gone that way with the smaller, speedier type guys. Just makes me think, someone like yourself, man, you were born in the wrong era.
Not with these knees now. My God, knee pain from nothing. But it's cool to see. I mean, it's really awesome to see the evolution of the fullback position, right? From your Billy Slaters, that was a prototype in the previous era, last decade, and now we're sort of shifting. You had guys like Billy Slater in the Billy Slater mold, it's almost like another 5'8", like your Clint Gutherson, Dylan Edwards, probably a bit more of a meter eater, but now it's shifting to real dynamic, fleet-footed fullbacks. I like it.
See, even old big Trell got bloody bumped out to the centres to make way for a new young fella. Yeah, it's an interesting sort of just evolution, I guess, as you say. Now, in terms of the Cherry Evans situation, the Dylan Brown situation, and a potential Ponga situation, it sort of brings up a lot of questions about how the free agency period should operate in the NRL. And is it currently doing the right sort of thing, allowing guys to sign, a year ahead of things, allowing from their side of things, they're allowed to plan and get their family prepped to move to wherever they need to go, et cetera, et cetera. But it does, create a little bit of messiness from the fan side of things when you're looking at your team going through a little bit of maybe a civil war, I guess, in terms of the Cherry Evans news. But yeah, what are your thoughts on what they should do with free agency?
I can't really comment without knowing the full mechanics of really the ins and outs of how it works, but I don't have any problems with it with how it is right now. People need time to, if they're going to make a decision about moving on, they need time to, set up their roots, the logistical side of things with their own personal lives. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with the way things are right now. It's a business. I get that. It sucks, but it's just part of the game. But what would you change? Where do you think there could be improvements in the free agency?
Well, look, I mean, it's the way it's set up currently benefits, the player, so they can do their planning. It also benefits the club in a sense because they are able to do their own planning for next year. So like the Warriors, Adam, effectively last year and held on to him and said, you can go next year. We'll try and plan ahead. And then, Fisher Harris just sort of happened to turn up at the same sort of time coming back to us. It was like, all right, sweet. So in terms of the club and the player, it kind of makes a lot of sense. In terms of, I guess maybe it is a fan or media driven thing where they look at other sports where they have a cleaner sort of, free agency period, during the off season, say, after the grand final, and, you go and have a free agency period, dedicated free agency period or trades period, et cetera, which I know they do in the AFL as well, and the NFL, which does create a lot of content in the off season. So, I mean, I can see the sides for both arguments. I guess thinking just bullishly and selfishly, I would prefer to go with, the free agency period, create a bloody absolute frenzy, which there kind of is a little bit with the, the November 1st sort of signing spree, which isn't really as big a deal because it's not an immediate type change, i.e. you guys are signing for the year after the following thing. But yeah, interesting times. It is interesting as well. The NRL, after the last round, they had a little bit of a chat about what the referees were doing and decided that they wanted to have a crackdown on high tackles.
Flavor of the month.
That's right. And all I can say, really, from a Warriors fan perspective, I'm over the moon that we did not play in the weekend just gone because, it seemed a little bit knee jerk. What is your thoughts on the current crackdown and how they've handled things? How they started the season, the officials, to where they are going now.
I didn't really think the officiating was that bad up until this point through the season so far. Like, I was actually pretty impressed, especially being a one-eyed Warriors fan. There weren't that many games where I felt we were not getting the rub of the green. And I think overall across a lot of the games that I've watched, I thought the officiating's been pretty good. I think it was just one bad weekend where there was a few instances of a head-high tackle, maybe getting into that dangerous territory that's kind of been the catalyst for this knee-jerk reaction, which it really is. If they've got to leave it more, I feel like common sense just gets thrown further out the window when things like this happen. And you know what's going to happen. In a year or two's time, it's going to be a rollback. It's not going to be the flavor of the month. We've got to find something else that we need to crack down on. So it's kind of just par for the course, right? It comes and goes. We see it every year. Something changes. I guess the real thing for us as Warriors fans is how much it's going to really affect us. That's all I give a shit about. Right? But yeah, I think there's other things to worry about, like some fucking dodgy forward passes in that Broncos game. Good Lord, down. That's an absolute shocker. If anything, that's the sort of stuff that needs to be stamped out. But then again, how do you do it?
That's right. The Denver Broncos.
Denver Broncos.
You mentioned the word common sense in there. That's two words, but you mentioned the term common sense, and I think that is a really good way to sum it up in terms of how the referees had started the season with a common sense approach. You weren't seeing guys of, a guy sort of, falls into a guy's shoulder or whatever, the tackler gets sin bin, which, I thought was serving us better. Because I remember last year we had so much sort of, we got used to it, someone runs into a shoulder, bang, great sin bin, unless you're Stephen Crichton hitting Roger. And that, I mean, that's another one, right? It's like, well, shit, if you just use a bit of common sense on these rulings, there won't be so much uncertainty and people won't get as up in arms about things, when things do or don't happen. It's just, also it has a big impact on, on the game itself. Having a guy off the field in a 13-player game across the field, it's a decent gap in the lineup. So,
I don't know. It's just, it just opens up another can of worms. Like, if you're going to make it such a black and white sort of rule, like people are going to slip over, and the defender's intention may not be to go high, but then it becomes a high tackle when the person slips. So whose fault is that? It's not arguably anyone's fault. It's just the nature of the game. It's the nature of the conditions that they play in. But that's all out the window, right? The shoulder hits the head, it's done. I know it's player safety is paramount, but it's a physical game, and those things are going to happen. Like in cricket, what are you going to do? You're not going to. They've had rules where you can limit the amount of bounces, but you can still bowl a bouncer. You can still hit somebody. If they're going to think of player safety, are you not allowed to hit the batsman at all? with a cricket ball. Like, you hit them once, and what, you're going to get penalty runs for it. It's just the nature of the game. You're going to get hit. You go into that game knowing full well what you're in for. You have to accept it. You're going to get injured. You're going to get hit in the head sometimes. The intent is where the penalty should lie, and whether the ref has got enough common sense, enough experience, enough nous to be able to pick up the intent. Because I do remember a couple of weeks ago with Reed the Grub Marnie going in shoulders, pretty much left shoulder first, into a guy on the ground who was prone in prone position to get injured, and he got a warning when it was clear. His clear intent was to smack him in the head with his shoulder. He was just crap enough to miss.
Yeah, it was ugly. It was an ugly looking. Yeah, that's the thing. The intent. A lot of things. Any given tackle can go wrong, and you understand that. With the speed and the the change of direction, slipperiness, etc., anything can happen in any tackle. But yeah, that Reed one, that was he just wanted to go in and just do a cheap shot.
Yep, that's it.
But yeah, I guess that's his bag. Now, bro, on to the Storm game. I guess also another great reason for us not to be playing this week, because Storm had been beaten the previous weekend. I heard. Was it Vossi, the commentator, talking about how the Storm averaged bloody 38 points coming off a loss? So I was like,
loss.
Sheesh. How of a stat is that? Holy heckers. But yeah, bro, first of all, let's have a quick look, I guess, at the team. I'm guessing it'll be fairly steady, as it has been all year, barring any, further injuries. What I'm thinking is, last time round, we had Rocco named in the team, pulled out with a bit of a hamstring strain. If he's fit, does he come into the team, or do we roll again with Lacoste, Eddie?
I would only be rolling into that game with Rocco if he's 100% fit. Let's not take any chances. It's a long season. We know we'd love to be able to beat Melbourne. It's been a long time coming, but it's not worth the risk. Posse, to his credit, out on the wing, he played really, really well. Yeah, he deserves another chance out there, and someone else takes over the centre spot. Pompey jumps in there. So yeah, I just don't want to. Rocco Bay is too important for the club moving forward. I don't want to lose him for the sake of one game, and he faces a 12-week stretch again or something like that. I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, fair. I mean, he's short of a gallop as well. He's played, a couple of games in cup, maybe 1.5 games, etc. So he's still to get reps. And to go into a bloody, Amy Park furnace, take on the Storm, that's quite a welcome back, I guess, to the top grade. Are you thinking of any sort of tweaks at all to the lineup against the Storm?
Honestly, no.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I think the more consistency we can have across the season, the better. People earn the right to wear the jersey. I feel like the centre wing combinations did really well in the last game. They're right to stay where they are. I can't see too many other tweaks in the squad come game day. Maybe to throw maybe a different sort of look at the Storm. Maybe the young guys get a bit more game time. I think we've all been clamoring for it. They need more game time. Yeah, they're just players, Dimitri and Lecker. They're the kinds of players that Melbourne might have a hard time trying to contain.
And I think from their performances as well, they're winning trust. That's probably the key, Mm-hmm. You can okay, all right, son. I'll let you I'll let you drive the family car around for a little bit longer, a little bit later at night, shall we say? Yeah, earning the trust from Webby and the team to go out and do a job, which we're all excited to see what they can do as they grow into their roles. But Storm, they had a big win against Manly. Interesting to note, I thought Manly were about to be cooked for 2025. When the Storm got up to 48 points, I was like, oh, here we go. You guys are about to get written off here. But they hung in there. They just hung in. So Manly is still alive, technically. But yeah, a big win for the Storm. They picked up a couple of injuries as well, with Pappenhausen and I think Coates picking up a couple of twinges. What are you expecting from the Bellamy coach side?
Who's the other fullback from last year that was taking Paps's place?
Fa'alongo.
Is he back yet? Is he still? I think he's injured as well.
I had a feeling he was playing reserve grade, or so a lot of people have been saying. I don't know. I don't even know if he's. I don't know if he's around. But
yeah, I thought he might have been injured. But if he's not injured, he's filling that Pap spot, and he he's a threat himself already. I'm actually kind of a little bit more scared of him than Paps, to be honest, just with the way that he plays. But yeah, Melbourne, they just find a way, even in injury situations, to find people that can plug those gaps and do a job. So I know they'll be losing a little bit of strike with Paps and Xavier Coates out, but they've got plenty of strike, especially with the number 7 coming back, obviously, old Jerome. So
yeah, they look right at home as well. That halves pairing as they they know each other's game. Daniel wanted to mention about how the Storm also have been about the only club to actually click onto the fact that Rugby Union Sevens players are actually very good athletes and could be good assets, and you can see that with I think it was Leo, the censor for the Storm against Manly. So he might even get to take on the Warriors as well. I'm kind of excited to see what he can do. Just hopefully he doesn't do too much of it this week. Bro, how do we?
But it's got a good point though, eh? Like that's what separates Melbourne. That's what it sets them apart from other clubs. Like, why aren't other clubs looking at Sevens talent? Because arguably the template, the structure of the Sevens game is probably closer to league than the standard 15s rugby union is, right? In terms of the fitness, in terms of the build of the players, arguably the ball handling skills as well is probably more suited closer to league than 15 rugby union is to the rugby league. And there's talent plenty out there. I mean, NRL teams wouldn't even have to look in their own backyard at the Aussie sevens team. They could look anywhere around the world. There's some great sevens teams out there at the moment that aren't Australia, New Zealand, Fiji.
Yep.
There's a massive talent pool out there. So maybe it's only a matter of time before NRL clubs start looking around, seeing players from other international sevens teams that they could potentially offer up.
Absolutely. They've got skills. They've got explosive abilities and, fitness for days to be able to move around a field like that with just 7 players per team.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's you need a bit of an engine to be able to do that. I mean, shit, you could see the bloody first Uruguay or Argentinian NRL player.
Spain?
Spain.
Aren't Spain doing really well in the sevens? I know we're digressing from league, but Spain doing well in the sevens? It's like...
Welcome to Rugby Sevens Anonymous.
But that's great to see, right? But the talent, the athleticism is similar to league. I mean, the numbers on the field, the defense, because of the lack of numbers on the field, could translate really, really well.
Yeah. Also, as well, just reading recently that apparently there's a bit of a review going on around that World Sevens series, i.e. losing bucket loads of money, There could well be a real talent pool, available to be snapped up by whoever's got a keen eye. So on to this week, bro. How do we do it? How do we break the curse and beat them?
Can I bring up one thing though before we come up?
Go ahead.
This whole thing about we're talking about free agency with the NFL. What about another thing? What's the word for it? Another thing they do in the NFL where they have the open tryouts, and I think former Australian rugby union 15 player signed up by the Chargers or something like that. Was it the Chargers?
Yeah, Jordan Petaya. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, and he played quite a few games for the Wallabies. What about open tryouts like that for league?
NFL players.
For any players, but not specifically just for NFL players. But hey, look, talent from around the world, open it up. That could be like an off-season thing where open up, a week of training and some lucky rugby player, NFL football player, whichever athlete gets a chance to sign up with an NRL squad. Makes the off-season a bit more interesting if we're talking about interesting, entertaining off-seasons.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. The old, what was that movie with old Mark Wahlberg, Invincible?
Invincible, yeah. Mark, what's his name? Oh, fuck, I can't remember the name of
that's a good idea. I like that very much. Average Joe tries out for the NRL.
What was that program was it Average Joe? No, the program with...
It was an Average Joe program. There
was a different one, wasn't it? The program where they put, normal people against actual athletes and they got their ass kicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the one where they put humans against animals. Man vs. Beast. That was peak television.
The tug of war with Payne Haas versus Silverback Gorilla.
Oh man, I'll never forget that hot dog eating competition between the man and the bear.
Kobayashi and the bear. Yeah.
That was amazing. Absolutely incredible.
Was it the sprinter versus the giraffe? Was it a giraffe?
That's right, yeah.
That one had me. Because the giraffe was just, I think the sprinter said, if I had another 100 meters, I would have caught up. I was like, yeah, right, mate. Sorry, tangent.
Yeah, that's right. Those giraffes, their training is another level. They train with like lions chasing them, like, oh.
Yeah, lions, cheetahs, all that shit. Get the fuck out.
Oh man. Anyways, a great little tangent there, bro. How do we beat the Storm?
Oh God, that's a good question. I would say just how we've beaten them in the past. We've beaten them with Adelaide Rugby. We've beaten them with Warrior Ball. Really, I think I've probably said it every year. Let's just play Warrior Ball. Everything else isn't working. Fuck it. Let's just try and break up the defensive structures, right? And that's how we've done it. And years gone by when we're actually beating the Melbourne Storm, I just don't think you can play the tit for tat sort of game against them. They're not even like that anymore now. They can do the tit for tat and ground you down if they want to, but then they've just got some spark. So you've kind of got to throw the game plan out the window and just try it on. Just try it on. But I think the basics of just running it up the middle and beating down the door first will open up opportunities for them to play Warrior Ball. But if they're just going to kick it into the corners, Melbourne are too professional. They're just too classy. They're just going to swallow that up. They'll eat the pressure. They'll buy themselves a penalty. They're fucking back on the front foot. So if we're going to play that game of just bombing it up to the corners with the wingers that they have got normally, I don't think it's going to cut it. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm interested. It's an interesting sort of matchup. I think about last year where we had them beaten over in Melbourne for all but the last 2 minutes. And we know what happened next. But I'm with you on that. I want to see. I'm probably not as much of a Warrior Ball sort of fan as yourself. I think we just need to just go and just bludgeon them to death. Just fish, boom, and then bloody Mitch, boom, and then have the young fellas just come on, boom, 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 just smack them around, and hope for the best, I guess. But that's two really solid game plans we've got there. One is throw the plan out the window from you, and I've got just bash the shit out of them.
No, I can get on board with the bashing thing, which probably leads to more minutes for the young guns, right? Like, throw them the ball, let's just fucking see what you can do. Just play instinctual footy,
That's right.
Was Al Pacino playing footy in the backyard?
What was it? Run to the bloody...
Run to the Buick. Run to the Buick. I'll get you there.
Oh man, Al Pacino got nothing on us for our tactics.
Mama's ringing the dinner bell.
Oh man, shoot. Well, Isaac, thank you for jumping on this episode.
Yay.
This has been a lot of fun, especially for a bye week. My God. Yeah, big game coming up Sunday, 4 p.m. New Zealand time, I believe. So buckle up, everyone. It's gonna be interesting. Hopefully it's dry. I just want to see us play on a nice dry track. I may regret that statement in a few days' time.
Retract that statement.
Yeah, that's right. I may wholeheartedly disagree with myself, but for now, we'll see what happens. Get to warriorsanonymous.co.nz and get your streetwear, hoodies, t-shirts, stuff for babies. So you got a few things in there. So, check it all out. It's all really good stuff as well. So, get yours today. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Come on, you know you want to. And stick around because we'll be back next week. Got all the pathway stuff coming up as well. Man, there's heaps of shit going on, to be fair. So until then, up the wires. Go the Warriors.
Get to the Buick.
La cucaracha, ya no puede caminar.